To complete our tour around Oregon, we finally visited Willamette Valley Vineyards. They're a winery that focuses on sustainability, but also producing a good grape and therefore wine.
So one of our big things here is sustainability. We have numerous different sustainability certificates and certifications that we use. We'll start first in the vineyard, talking about that and what we do here for sustainability. The reason why I brought you guys to this block, one, it's easy for the winery, but this is also what I do a lot of sustainability work in. This is our Burnell block. It's named after our CEO and founder, Jim Burnell. But this is also a block that we kind of highlight as being our sustainable vineyard. So we have a few different certifications. One we have is called LIVE. It's called Low Input Viticulture and Enology. So it not only touches on the grape growing, it also touches on what we do in the production area. And I'll walk you folks through there in a little bit as well, so you can see how the winery actually works. So with our LIVE certification, we also on that have a salmon safe certification. Oregon's waters are plentiful salmon and steelhead breeding grounds. So it's really important for what we use in the vineyard is not going to be contaminating what goes into the waterway systems. So our various sustainability programs are actually more so focused on what we're putting into the vineyard and making sure that what we're putting into the vineyard, if there's things like runoff or waste going into the waterways, that they're actually not going to contaminate the waterways and do anything for the salmon. So we really don't use very many insecticides. We actually use no insecticides on our vineyards. We use very little fungicides, and we don't use any we use one herbicide application a season. All these are low input, non-toxic chemicals that we use out in the vineyard. We also do things like release beneficial insects. So we release things like beetles, lady beetles, predatory mites, nematodes, things that are going to help us fight problems out there without us needing to use chemicals to do that. So everything below you is Pinot Noir. It's Oregon's mainstay grape. It's one of the most popular grape grown in Oregon. We're making our names on the map by creating Pinot Noir and branding it as Oregon Pinot Noir. What makes it unique is actually our soil. This soil is called Jory and Nikaya soil. It actually makes the distinct Oregon Pinot Noir grape. It's clay-based, so it holds nutrients. We put very little nutrients out into our soil. So we don't use chemical fertilizers, very rarely. Most of the time we'll do things like composting. So we'll actually use our production, the grapes, stems, seeds, all the other pumice that comes out of wine production. We'll have a compost pit that's about 2 stories high on the other side behind our warehouse over there. And we'll actually use that. We inoculate it with beneficial microorganisms, and that's what we'll actually put out into the vineyard. So we're not using chemicals. So it's a little bit more economically sustainable for us to go through and use our waste, compost it, and put it back out into the vineyards. To use all of our wastewater from cleaning barrels, we neutralize that, and then we go through and actually irrigate different blocks of our vineyard when we need to irrigate. These vines are actually dry farmed. We usually do not need to irrigate them, but like we were saying, climates are kind of changing. This block we had not watered in over 7 years, and last year we actually watered it for the first time in 7 years. So things are changing. We're trying to look for new solutions to deal with those changes. And so it's one of the ways that we did was actually to reuse our wastewater, neutralize it, and send it back out to the vineyards. We actually we're one of the first vineyards in Oregon to be Rainforest Alliance certified for our natural corks. So if you folks know anything about some of the issues going on with corks, unfortunately they've kind of devastated some rainforest and natural habitats throughout the world by using natural corks. Well, our CEO wanted to use natural corks. He wanted to be like any other French wine. And so we have gone to extensive measures to find sustainable certified corks. And so that they're actually replanting this double planting at the same time so that they're not negatively impacting the rainforest. And we also have a setup here where all the other wineries can bring their waste. There's an incredible amount of waste that happens from putting the sticker onto the label. So our team came up with an idea, well, let's find somebody that recycles it. Sometimes the problem with recycling is you need a large amount or they won't recycle it, which is makes me mad sometimes. But so what we did is we decided to have our station or have our winery be a incoming station. So we're now collecting plastic from either shrink wrap or the backings of labels, and we're collecting it from various different wineries in the area. They come and they bring us a big pallet full or a big dump truck full, and then we go through the process of finding someone to recycle it all. We also recycle all of our bottles here. We open it up to the public. We actually give the public, here in Oregon, they give you 5 cents for a bottle. Well, we're trying to encourage it even more, so we offer them 10 cents for a bottle to bring it in here. And we also help them recycle their corks. So when we go into the tasting room, you'll see we have a big collection of corks, and that's for anybody to bring in to recycle the corks. So just some of the ways that we're trying. We see it already. I see climate change. We've been keeping records here for a couple years, and we've really started to notice every year we're getting an earlier and earlier bloom. Every year we're getting an earlier and earlier harvest, as well as we've gone through a couple droughts, which isn't really typical for Oregon. It rains usually 9 months out of the year here, and it's different because it's not raining as much here. We're getting drier periods of time. But the neat thing is, we're thinking eventually we might be able to, if climate change does happen, trying to get a positive out of climate change, we can grow more varieties of grapes up here. I know climate change isn't positive for most of the world, but at least we may be able to grow different types of grapes. We are limited here. We can't grow some of the big, bold reds that you find in California, like Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlots, Tempranillos. We can't grow those here. They just don't grow well. We don't have a long enough growing season. But that seems like it's starting to change. We've had 3 years in a row, and I know that's a really short cycle to start collecting data, but we've been really starting to see change over the last 20 years or so. And means not tomorrow, we can't be planting Merlot out there tomorrow, but in the future, next person after me might be thinking about it. So.